The story kicks off with a young warrior gasping for air, clearly overwhelmed as he squares off against a terrifying monster. This towering creature turns out to be none other than Kerberos, the wingless dragon, a high-level dungeon boss feared by many. Found deep within level 67, the massive beast unleashes a brutal fire attack, instantly placing the entire party of adventurers in a life-threatening situation. Gripped by fear, the team's sorceress yells out a warning. She admits, trembling, that she isn't sure her defensive spell will be enough to withstand the oncoming blaze. But before anyone can act, the group's armored elder suddenly freezes, eyes widening. He's seen something unexpected. Out of the searing flames, a small green figure bursts into view. It's a goblin, an odd sight in such a deadly zone. The dragon snarls again, gearing up for another lethal blast, while the rest of the team stares in disbelief. Whispers spread. What could a goblin possibly be doing in a place like this? Then, in a flash, the goblin dashes forward with astonishing speed. Without pausing, the little creature swiftly dodges out of the attack zone and slams its wooden club into the dragon in a vicious counterattack. The adventurers are frozen in place, unable to process what just happened. The blonde youth among them stares in shock, questioning aloud how something so small could bring down such a monstrous opponent with such raw strength. Gradually, the truth sinks in. Kerberos, the mighty wingless dragon, has fallen to a single strike from a mere goblin. Confusion spreads. Was the goblin summoned by someone? The old man's sharp eyes catch movement on a nearby hill. He raises his hand, pointing out a lone figure in the distance. Everyone turns, and as the dust begins to settle, it becomes clear this man was behind the summoning. The mystery begins to unravel. Sometime before this shocking battle, far from the battlefield, the story shifts to a different scene. Kimchi Soo, the protagonist, is seen working a construction job. Despite the hard labor, he wears a cheerful smile that catches the attention of his co-workers, who ask why he seems so unusually happy. With a bag of cement slung over his shoulder, Kimchi Soo is deep in thought. Inwardly, he reflects on his reality. He thinks of himself as nothing more than a lowly goblin, weak, ordinary, and trapped in the lower levels of life. Even as he pauses to take a drink of water, his thoughts don't stray far from his frustration. Some people, he muses, seem to strike gold overnight. But others, people like him, remain nobodies no matter how much experience they gather. While lost in thought, he overhears his co-workers chatting about a man named Mr. Cha, who stopped coming to work. The reason? He's now making a living off Gate of Heaven, a virtual reality game that swept the world by storm. Fully immersive, the game blurs the line between reality and fantasy. Within its digital universe, players who discover hidden classes can earn unimaginable wealth. Kimchi Soo's memory stirs. He remembers hearing about this game, which had only recently launched. It was so captivating that players often lost track of the real world entirely. As the technology became more advanced, the price of the equipment rose, putting it out of reach for many. Luckily, internet cafes made it possible for even the less fortunate, like Kim, to step into the virtual world. The game's popularity didn't just grow, it exploded. Real-world money began to flood in, with powerful in-game items being sold for actual currency. A new kind of economy was taking shape inside the game. Kimchi Soo's thoughts ended on a bittersweet note, tinged with longing for the days when he truly enjoyed the game. The scene transitioned into the digital realm, where Kim was fully immersed in battle. He activated one of his combat skills, Rock Strike, launching a full-force attack. The blow landed cleanly, and in return, he received 3 ores as a reward. But the small win did little to ease his irritation. With a loud scream, Kim vented his frustration, calling the situation absurd. Despite putting in so much effort, the grind just never seemed to end. Even within this virtual world, he felt buried under a mountain of debt. He couldn't hold back anymore. Tears welled up as he yelled, wondering aloud when the part of the game would begin where he becomes a legendary hero, marries a beautiful woman, and lives the fantasy he always dreamed of. He questioned whether Gate of Heaven was even worth his time. In that moment of despair, Kim suddenly froze. His eyes widened as he spotted something glimmering nearby, an advanced healing crystal. His mind raced. This rare item could fetch at least 300,000 won. Elation surged through him. He erupted into wild laughter, overwhelmed with joy. This, he thought, was exactly why he endured the backbreaking mining. It was moments like this that made it all worthwhile. But his celebration was cut short when he realized he wasn't alone. A few players had appeared behind him, observing his outburst. One of the women in the group took note of his strange behavior. Embarrassment washed over him as he slowly turned around and saw them watching. Then his eyes landed on the woman's face, and he froze again, this time stunned by her breathtaking beauty. She approached and said casually that she had noticed him mining every day, so she figured his mining skill must be quite high. Trying not to seem flustered, Kim replied that he was all right at it. She then explained that her party was passing through the dungeon, but a huge boulder was blocking their way. Though her team members were powerful, none of them had the mining expertise needed to clear the path. She politely asked Kim Chil-soo if he could lend them a hand. Kim hesitated. He pointed out that his level was quite low, and going any deeper could put him in serious danger. Before he could finish the thought, one of the team members, short in stature and clearly a dwarf, spoke up confidently. He reassured Kim that his only task would be mining. The team would handle any monsters they encountered. Kim turned a bit surprised. He hadn't expected that from a dwarf. The dwarf noticed Kim's reaction and immediately called it out, accusing him of assuming that, just because he was a dwarf, he'd be the one doing the digging. He added that Kim probably thought dwarves weren't useful in battle. The dwarf's tone made it clear he felt offended by that stereotype. Kim took a breath and weighed the situation. Maybe this wasn't such a bad opportunity. He could gain some decent experience and possibly unearth a few more valuable ores. But deep down, he still felt nervous. The group was already pretty far into the dungeon, and he couldn't shake the sense of dread building in his gut. He remembered the dangerous entity that roamed this world, something terrifying enough to make players tremble, even in a game where resurrection was possible. Just the idea of encountering it made him feel uneasy. The beautiful woman stepped closer again, smiling sweetly. She made another request for his help, saying that he was exactly her type, a strong-armed man who knew how to mine. Kim's heart skipped a beat. Emotions rushed over him, and without thinking, he agreed. But the moment the words left his mouth, regret kicked in. He immediately questioned his decision, wondering why he had jumped in so carelessly. Soon after, they entered the cave. A monster appeared, its name, Gay Wolf. It was a level 7 beast, and Kim's reaction was immediate panic. Even though it wasn't as high level as he feared, the truth hit him. His current power was still nowhere near enough to deal with threats like this. The wolf charges at him with terrifying speed, and Kim instinctively screams in pure panic, crying out for his mother like a frightened child. But just before the beast can strike, a sudden burst of flames lights up the battlefield. A stunning woman appears, unleashing her fire spell, Salamander Flame, and effortlessly incinerating the monster. She walks over to check on Kim, her tone filled with concern as she asks if he's hurt. This powerful woman is Catherine Lee, a level 39 sorceress. Kim stares at her in awe, completely blown away by how she wiped out the enemy with a single attack. He quickly expresses his gratitude for saving him. Catherine gently warns him not to stray too far from her again. It's far too dangerous. For a brief moment, Kim dares to hope that this might be the beginning of the romantic adventure he's always dreamed of. Just then, another teammate joins the scene. A confident and muscular young man effortlessly dodges incoming monster attacks and scoffs at the situation, making it clear they're not there to fool around. With commanding energy, he activates a skill called Swing of the Giant Wheel, wiping out the rest of the monsters in one powerful move. He casually explains that they're on a mission to find a rare ore, one that can only be broken with high-level mining proficiency. That's the real reason Kim was brought along. But despite being invited specifically for this skill, Kim can't shake the feeling of being looked down on. The way they talk to him makes it obvious they see him as nothing more than a tool. Annoyed and insulted, Kim finally speaks up. He confronts the warrior directly, telling him he's not someone to be brushed aside. He insists that he has combat abilities too and refuses to be treated as a mere minor. Fueled by anger, Kim slams his fist into a massive boulder, yelling as he puts everything into the strike. He's determined to prove that he's not weak. But when the dust settles, the tall man and the dwarf quietly observe that the rock hasn't even cracked. They begin to question whether the intel they got about the orb behind the stone was even real. With tension rising, the tall man threatens the dwarf, warning him of the consequences if the information turns out to be false. Meanwhile, Kim feels a fresh wave of humiliation. He's been through enough, always being disrespected, risking his life for pocket change. Even now, he feels like he's hit rock bottom. He exhales slowly, trying to calm his frustration and deciding to just get the job done, convincing himself it's just another dull day. Then, something unbelievable happens. With a sudden crack, the rock splits apart. The entire team stares dumbfounded. Behind the rubble, something mysterious glows. Kim has uncovered a hidden door. It's a hidden dungeon. Shock spreads across the group, and Kim can hardly believe what he's looking at. His voice trembles with excitement as he declares that this discovery could mean huge rewards and even a shot at unlocking hidden classes. Overjoyed, Kim calls it the grand prize. Catherine smirks and sarcastically questions whether Kim is really part of the we. But Kim is too excited to care. For the first time, he feels like this might be his turning point, the moment he can escape his miserable routine and finally change his life, just like Mr. Cha. Then, without warning, everything shatters. The tall man suddenly activates PvP mode and attacks Kim violently. The blow sends him crashing to the ground, groaning in pain as 480 health points are ripped away. He struggles to breathe as the man mocks how hard it was just to find this hidden dungeon. Catherine joins in, mocking the situation too. She scoffs at the idea that all it took to reach this place was a low-level mining skill. Kim's eyes narrow as he listens to them. The words sting, especially when the tall man arrogantly claims that Kim had only been tagging along while they handled all the fighting. At that moment, the realization hits him like a second punch. They were the ones who turned on him. They knew about the hidden dungeon from the beginning. They used him. Grabbing Kim's head roughly, the tall man leans in close and laughs cruelly. Of course they knew, and since Kim helped them just a bit, they'll kill him quickly. Kim's eyes widen in shock, completely stunned by the betrayal. When he comes to, Kim finds himself still inside the dungeon. At first, Kim thinks maybe they didn't kill him after all. Maybe they spared him out of pity. But then his heart sinks. He notices the advanced healing crystal he kept shattered. It had activated automatically when his health dropped to 0, meaning he actually died, and was revived. The realization hits him hard. The crystal was worth 300,001, and now it's gone. He screams out in pure rage. But as he's still burning with fury, Kim notices something. The door to the hidden dungeon is still wide open. The dungeon hasn't been cleared, and after losing something so valuable, Kim knows there's no going back. He clenches his fists, swearing revenge on the party that mocked him. He's going to ruin everything for them. He's going to flip the table and turn his life upside down. He charges toward the glowing door at full force, shouting with all the fire in his chest that the hidden dungeon is waiting for him. But the moment he enters, chaos. The entrance isn't flat. Instead, there are stairs. Kim doesn't see them in time. He falls hard inside, crashing against the stone steps, his body taking another brutal hit. His health drops again, minus 80 points. In pain and frustration, he shouts angrily. They put stairs right after the entrance. When Kimchi Su finally regains consciousness, he finds himself lying on the cold dungeon floor. It's dark, silent. He groans as he sits up, and his heart skips. He's inside the hidden dungeon, but his health bar is barely hanging on. Only 20 points left. As he looks up, his eyes widen in disbelief. Sitting ahead of him is a massive, terrifying goblin, sitting like a king on a throne. Floating above, it is a glowing label, Temple of the Goblins. Kim frowns in confusion and mockery. He expected a secret dungeon to be something grand, something dangerous. Not just goblins. But then, something feels off. The entire area is silent. Too silent. Kim looks around